Hempfield Township Traffic Commission meeting. And I would ask that you would join me and rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, up first we have our action items, the minutes from the June 18th meeting. Were there any corrections or additions, updates to that?
Didn't see any issues.
I had none.
Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the June 18th minutes?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Brubaker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Up next is the traffic report. Do we have, is the chief here?
Chief's
She's online.
Online.
Okay.
There she is.
Yes, are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Okay, sorry for not being present tonight.
no problem,
Um,
chief.
So we've been continuing to use Urban STK on a regular basis to problem shoot areas that are showing high speeds. The software continues to be working well. Within the past month or so, we did get a concern regarding Snapper Dam in the area of Knolt Road regarding the bridge and truck traffic as well as speeds. There's been a resident that has reached out a couple times over the past few years about that. To check the truck traffic, we did have Public Works deploy the Jamar boxes, and we compared the data with that with the Urban SDK data. Within a week period of time, it was showing about 10 full-size tractor trailers coming over that bridge, as well as some smaller trucks that would register for a truck and trailer or a box truck, but without knowing the weight of them with the 5-ton weight restriction limit. At this point, I can go by the fact that there's 10 tractor trailers on a weekly basis. That is consistent with a study that was done last year as well in that area. I've spoke to our mix-app officer. He's going to continue to put that on a place for him to watch specifically, as well as patrol for the trucks.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board in reference to the traffic report?
Did the speed and issues reported by our equipment dovetail with what was being reported by the computers?
Yes, our equipment was comparable to the Urban SDK. Our equipment was out for a week period of time in August. The Urban SDK data was out, well, it was out all the time, but that data was pulled for the month of July. So a little bit different timetable, a longer period of time, which would probably have more of an accurate number based on the Urban SDK speed data.
And the results of the speed check was that speeding was not an issue really on this road, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Sure, we're going to get to new business and public comment here in a minute. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Brubaker, did you have any
No.
questions on the report? Okay.
Nope.
Old business, is there any old business here that we need to discuss this evening? Okay. New business, Knolt Road, Church Street, adding a blinking light at the top of the stop sign.
Yes. We had a request from a resident that requested that
That seemed to be a nice compromise. It would have a blinking light similar to what we had at Lidditz and Route 72
Okay.
on the Lidditz roadside. Two blinking lights on both stop signs,
There at Church Street.
Church and Knoll. Yes.
Okay,
It
so there
on
would be
Knoll,
two
on the existing traffic
stop
stop
signs.
signs.
Okay. All right. Do we need to take action on that? Is that you
Yes,
just?
please.
Okay. Is there any comments or questions about that?
So I guess a couple of things. So would that be on both stop signs facing both directions, correct? On either side of Church?
Yes.
And I guess maybe this is for the chief. I read the information from the resident that lives like maybe one house away from that intersection, stating that they had seen or had, were aware of 5 or 6 accidents since they've been there, which I didn't know what time frame that was, but were all those accidents? I guess I'd like to know generally what the chief would have to say, or what our traffic report would say as far as people running that stop sign. That's a very busy intersection, especially when school's going on and buses and everything else. I mean, I think something needs to be done with that intersection just because it's so busy, but I don't live there, but I wasn't aware that there were people blowing through that stop sign. That was kind of a new thing for me. And I guess I just wanted to know, before we put the blinking lights up, I'm not really against putting up blinking lights, because probably maybe anything would help. And if it even keeps one accident from happening, that's fine. But I was just curious how many accidents occurred because someone went through a stop sign at that intersection.
Chief can speak to, she took a look at those records. Chief Brubaker?
Yes, yes, sorry, I don't have the records in front of me. That intersection is not, it's not one of our top 5 every year, but certainly is on a repeated basis, probably in our top 10 for frequency of accidents. So I would fully support any changes that can be done there to draw attention to the stop sign.
So a little history. I know we've looked at putting a traffic signal there in years past, and my understanding is it does not meet warrants. Is that correct?
I can't tell you if we actually ever studied it. I know that there was a temporary signal there when we had a detour,
Mm-hmm.
which everyone loved.
Right.
I would tend to think maybe Mr. Verdana can chime in. I don't believe it probably would meet warrants, but we have not looked at the numbers.
I would just,
Yeah, I don't think it actually meets warrants. Unfortunately, PennDOT doesn't consider when a school lets out, the heavy traffic through. Then it has to be like on a whole day basis that there's actual traffic going through there before, I guess they would say it would warrant a signal. I guess reportable accidents in a time period would be the only way that I think you could get a signal there, but I don't think we meet that criteria either.
right. And I mean, I live in that area, and the issue is not so much people not aware of the stop sign. It's people pulling out, trying to beat traffic, the school traffic, because it's so crowded on Church Street. And that's where we're getting the accidents, where they're just pulling out in front of other people. It's not that they're not aware that there's a stop sign, but putting the reflectors up is a small item. I have no problem with it. I would be in favor of it. I don't think that's going to solve the issue there. It's a traffic related issue during school hours, is the main issue. Are you?
Yeah, I'm agree with everything that's said by both you guys, and I guess I'd also say that I think we should maybe begin to look at that intersection and see what the situation is exactly, so we know. I believe we had some interest from the community about a light there. And again, as Mrs. Schweitzer said, everyone really liked the fact that the light was there. It obviously makes it a much safer intersection. I'd be for I'd be for the blinking lights. I have no issue with there. I also think, and I'm not sure, maybe they're already there, but do we have a blinking light at the stop sign on Bowman Road Bowman and Church. I think that's another intersection where you need to take a lot of care about turning left or right, particularly when school's in session. So I'd be in favor.
No, there's no blinking light there currently. There are dual stop signs at that intersection.
Right.
Okay, so the issue before us right now is the Knoll Road intersection going east and west, crossing over Church Street. There's two stop signs. Are we going to add the blinking lights? Seems like the board's generally in favor of that. Is there any comments on this particular item, the intersection of Knoll Road and Church Street, and adding blinking lights? Okay. Hearing none, then I will entertain a motion to approve adding blinking lights to the top of the stop signs at Knoll Road and Church Street. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, motion from Mr. Bennett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Brubaker. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Up next, we have Hayden Manor Phase 2 Traffic Control Plan. Mrs. Switzer.
Sorry, yes. So Hayden Manor Phase 1 is already adopted and accepted by the Board of Supervisors. We are now on to Phase 2, which is the last phase of Hayden Manor. I have to say finally, it's been a long time. Mr. Badana was out and checked the plans based on what is out on the field, and everything checks out. So it needs a traffic commission to endorse the traffic plan, which will be coming up shortly. And you can be assured that Mr. McDonough made sure that all signage and stop signs were in place. You'll see these roadways to be on your board agenda later on for adoption and acceptance.
And I'm sure we've inspected, we're for final top coat, and all of the sidewalks have been put in and the curbs done properly, and we've looked at all of that, correct?
He's looked at that, yes, the inspector, engineering inspector. This particular motion is just for the traffic plan.
Okay.
But yes.
Any questions or comments from the board in reference to the traffic
No.
plan? Okay. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience reference the traffic plan for Hayden Manor 2? Okay. Hearing none, then is there a motion to approve the Phase 2 traffic control plan for Hayden Manor?
So
Go.
Okay.
so moved.
Motion by Mr. Brubaker, second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Up next, we have public comment. If you could come to the microphone, please, and just state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Steph Flynn. I live at 3749 Knoll Road, so I'm like the house next to the farmhouse. So I'm the person that's been having a conversation with Chief Brubaker. Hi. We have a lot of concern in our neighborhood around the speed as well as the amount of tractor trailers that come through. And it's not just tractor trailers, truck that comes over 5 tons, including those. A lot of the times I see a couple times a day, just big trucks with like landscaping equipment.
Can you please speak into the microphone?
So I have a lot of concern with the speed, the amount of traffic in general, but also like the trucks, all of which is just compounded by the fact that our road is currently being used as a throughway. When we bought our house in 2022, I mean, we didn't like sit there for hours, but if I would have realized the amount of traffic, I don't think I would have bought my property, because like you expect like your residential neighborhood to kind of be a place where like the kids across the street can ride their bikes. I can walk my dogs and not worry that like somebody is going to come barreling through on their phones. When I walk the dogs now, I actually like wave at everyone to make sure that they see me and they're not going to potentially like hit me or my dogs. It's a huge source of frustration in our neighborhood. And like, I know we just spoke about like the stop signs at Knowlton Church, which kind of curtails on the fact that our neighborhood was built in like the 60s and we haven't really had any infrastructure updated since then. So I'm proud of myself for finally being here. I'm open to like any suggestions you all have. My biggest suggestion not that I understand exactly what all your job is, but like, if we close the bridge, it would stop traffic on Knoll and Church. It would mean that like me and like the rest of the neighborhood kids, we could like actually use that sidewalk that goes up to the high school, which is really nice. I would love to like actually use that more. It's just that like with the amount of traffic, it's not enjoyable to even like be on our road.
So I'm very familiar with where you're talking about. There's actually another supervisor that lives in that neighborhood as well, along with me. Knoll Road is a busy road. It especially gets busy during the school year as well. Chief, are you able to pull up the statistics for speeding there on Knoll Road in that area?
Yes, I mean, I have the speed study that was just completed in front of me, as well as one from June of last year. Both were done in the area of Snapper Dam. For the most recent study, our devices registered an average speed of 21, with the 85th percentile being 27. Urban SDK for the month of July had an average speed of 27 with an 85th percentile of 31. That data is close to last year's data, which was an average of 26 and an 85th of 32.
Okay. And just a quick explanation, if you don't mind, when you say 85th percentile, just so for those that are here in the audience, what that means?
Sure. That means that 85% of the vehicles traveling that roadway are going that speed or below.
Okay. So just as a heads up, we purchased this past year. It's called, I guess, metadata. And essentially, when you're in your vehicle, if you have your cell phone with you, what have you, it can track and give us exactly the miles. We don't know that it's you, but we can tell how fast the cars are going on that road, and not just for Knoll Road, but for any road in the township. And we've used that as a tool because you're not the first one to come in and complain about this issue. We actually get it quite a bit, and it becomes, we only have so many police officers, and where do we deploy them? How do we best utilize them? And we tried to keep it to a data-driven cycle. And the numbers that she just went over with us right now probably aren't what you want to hear. But we do have roads where people are doing 40 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, not 27 in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. And those are the roads that we've been trying to, take corrective action on and do things. In addition, I know closing the bridge, that one-lane bridge is actually a help because it does force people to slow down before they go across the one-lane bridge there at Snapper Dam. And if it were a full bridge, obviously people could continue and go faster and faster. And while it would be great to close off a road to solve a traffic problem, you're creating another problem. Because how do the people that live in that neighborhood on the other side get to where they need to go? They've been traveling that road for years. And then if we all of a sudden just closed it off completely, they couldn't get out to Church Street by taking Knoll Road, right? They would have to go out, go around to Stony Battery and come back up Church Street. Whereas now they can just come out of their driveway, make a right, go across the bridge and go up to the stop sign. So we're open for, I guess the first thing that we need to do is establish that there is a real issue with speeding. And I can understand, like, when cars are close or once or twice you see it, and it's really speeding, maybe we can do something. But what we're hearing from our chief and what the data is suggesting is that there's not really a speeding problem there.
Husband David.
Just a question.
Can you please state your name and address? for
David
the
Glenn,
minutes?
I live 3749 Knoll Road.
Thank you.
So I'm not an expert on when you put the speed tests out and get the data. I did see at one of the times it was put out, it was basically right on where the bridge is.
Mhm.
And so that's going to capture all the people turning right from Snapper Dam or left from Snapper Dam and everyone slowing down to go over the bridge. And I don't know if that data is taken out or not, but it seems like it would impact it.
So there's two things. We can physically capture data with manual devices. And then there's what we've just purchased, the software that tracks the vehicle where we don't have to have anything out there. It just automatically captures vehicle data and records it. As technology has advanced, that's really what we're going off of right now. That kind of tracking and that kind of statistics. So while it can't tell us that you were speeding on a certain road, it can tell us that, yes, we do have a speeding problem on a road because it'll record the amount of traffic on that road. It'll also record the average speeds, the individual speeds, and give us a detailed report on exactly what's going on there.
One other note, when you were mentioning the one-lane bridge and going over it, it's just notable when walking around the neighborhood, you're walking over the bridge and cars will drive over when you're walking over it. That's pretty regular. So, I mean, it's not very safe. So I just wanted to point that out. And I'll have one more question. So is it really intended that that's used as a through street through that neighborhood?
Knoll Road?
Knoll Road into Snapper Dam, either going to Stony Battery or going left onto Snapper Dam.
So the two main roads into that development are Knoll and Snapper Dam. So Knoll off of Church Street, Knoll off of Stony Battery, as well as Snapper Dam off of Stony Battery. Those are the main roads in and out of the development. Is your question more?
Used as a through street, or should it, like, they have Church Street and then Stony Battery that goes the exact same way, so I don't think people should be cutting through the neighborhood just to avoid the stoplight up at the rec center.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your first question, and now I understand what you're saying. So we do have a fair amount of through traffic, especially during school time. Kids cutting through, thinking it's a quicker way to get to the high school. I don't know, have we looked at this in the past as far as through traffic in the development?
I mean, it's a public street, planning wise, it makes sense to have it as a through street. It was never meant to be a development street.
And I guess I would say that if it's a continuous problem, it would show up in the data that we have available. The other thing is when we start restricting traffic flow in one direction, then we see something push out in another direction. I'm not sure how it would impact this particular situation, but it's a tough animal to tame. And, you know, we understand we want everybody to be safe. We want to have a safe environment. We want our streets to be safe, and our drivers paying attention. But again, when we make a decision one way or the other on action at the end of the day, we want to do that based upon good data, more than anything else.
Yeah, I think it's fair about redirecting traffic and how that could cause problems elsewhere. However, I don't really agree with it being a planned through street. That neighborhood, it's been around a while, wasn't there the whole time, but
Yeah,
it's right in the middle of a neighborhood. It shouldn't be a through street.
Unfortunately, in East Hempfield, a lot of the development, a lot of the traffic, you know, it really isn't planned. It's happened over time. People get used to using a road or going a certain direction just based upon, you know, what they think and their experience. We sort of have to deal with the aftermath of whatever is happening out there in the neighborhood. And we will, and we'll do whatever we can to make your neighborhood safer as time goes on. So I would ask that you stay engaged, and I know you are. We're glad you came to East Hempfield to live. And again, you have a commitment, I think, from everybody up here that we'll do everything we can to try to keep things as safe as we can.
And then, one more thing, sorry, I keep saying that. In regards to the Knoll and Church intersection and the blinking light, I agree with Scott, I see it every day, that people are just trying to beat the traffic. And both the stop signs back up, and then, everyone's rushing to get out of there. But more so if that, sod farm turns into a park, then the traffic's gonna be very, very heavy. And, it could need a light at that point, so.
And again, things might change, and again, that is one of the things that we'll look at with any development that we do in the park, for sure.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
How exactly is it decided when a street is a through street or a residential street? Like, can you help me understand that more?
Well, I would say, are you familiar with Nisley Road?
Yes.
Okay, Nisley Road is very similar to Knoll Road. Nisley Road runs all the way out from here till Centerville Road. It cuts through several different neighborhoods. The same with Knoll Road.
Mhm.
Knoll Road actually connects from West Hempfield Township over at Prospect Road and goes all the way out and traverses several neighborhoods along the way to when it dead ends into, I believe it's Sylvan Road. And again, they're very similar roads. It's not designed just specifically for one neighborhood.
Nisley Road has lines though.
Mhm.
My road doesn't, which means that there isn't like an indication of where it is that cars can go. So typically, I would think that when you are going down a road, like the lines are a good indicator. That way, if you're not fully paying attention, as not a lot of people do these days, we at least have like some way of knowing when we walk our dogs. Somebody's not gonna like come in, accidentally swipe us.
As far as road striping, I've never even, to be honest with you, even thought about it.
Mr. Madonna, have we ever considered striping Knolt?
We haven't, it was, I guess at one point there was consideration, but, our one engineer, at that point decided, he did not want that. So, and if I may just say something about Knoll Road, originally Knoll Road has been there way before any of the developments. Like all the developments were built around Knoll Road. As Mr. Wiggleworth said earlier, that travels from West Hempfield all the way through, and the developments were basically built around that. And unfortunately, there is some industry up at the other end of it. And again, people, they want to find the shortest route, and you can put signs up designated as you want, but people are still going to travel the way they want to go. Yeah, I think at one point there were lines considered on there, but it was decided against that.
Yeah, I have a question. Yes, I would be certainly in favor of taking another look at lining that road, especially now that the path has been developed along Stony Battery and it actually turns and comes along Nault Road. Yeah, would that be the south side of Nault? With lines along that road, I think it would be a better definition of, I ride bicycle out that road all the time. I spend a lot of time on that section of road between Church and Stony Battery on Nault. Any kind of line like that, while it's not a protective feature, it does give some kind of indication of where cars are supposed to be when there's walkers or bicyclists along there. And certainly that would be increasing, especially with the advent of that path being macadammed, with the new warehouses along Stony Battery. And that path actually ends, I think, before it gets to the railroad track. Yeah, well, before it gets to the railroad tracks or right around the railroad tracks. So a line from, for instance, from the railroad tracks on over to Church Street might be helpful. So maybe we could take another look at that.
Can we find out what the reasoning was that we didn't do it last time?
It was a former engineer. We'd have to, he's
Okay,
not
can we
involved
ask our
anymore.
engineer, our current engineer, if there's any issue with it then? And then let's get back to you. We have your information. So we can take a look at striping it and then go from there.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Russell, you have a comment?
Scott Russell, 1048 Lambley Road, lives in the development, and also sitting board supervisor. And I was the engineer that recommended as a resident of the town of that development not to line stripe. The line striping was stopped at Link on purpose because that's where the industrial area is. When you line stripe through a residential street, you increase the speed, you don't decrease the speed. It's documented, it's studied. This would actually have an adverse effect on our neighborhood if we put line striping in. It will encourage more speeding than what's out there all Thursday. I walk Knolt Road all the time. I commiserate with you. My wife, I drive her crazy. I will stand in front of traffic that's speeding. So I commiserate with you. And also that bridge, while it might feel unsafe, that's one of the godsends for speed control in our neighborhood. And I've been harping with the township staff not to widen it or make it a 2-lane bridge. We make it a 2-lane bridge, more speeding will occur. I guarantee you that too. The other observation, just from a very practical one, especially walking it earlier in the mornings, is it's not so much the through traffic that I've observed with the speeding issue, it's the traffic going back and forth to Link. It's the employees coming in out of Link Avenue. If you were to look at, and if we were to actually kind of analyze some of the time of the day when that's occurring and the aggressive driving that's occurring, that's typically when it's coming from. It's actually employees coming to work and leaving from work at the end of the day. I feel personally are some of the biggest sources of speeding along there. But I would really caution against putting double yellow lines on a residential street. It behaves as a through street because of its characteristics, and through streets by default are connecting roads, and that's what this road ends up doing. But the double yellow lines is what keeps it residential. So that's just, as well as the on-street parking, are the two things that will slow traffic up the most along there. So, so that's just my position.
Are you good with that
Yeah,
explanation?
That makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so along with that, now that we can kind of draw that we have an industrial area and a residential area in our neighborhood, what are we able to do to kind of make sure that those stay separate? How can we kind of define that area a little bit more and make it so that members of my neighborhood don't necessarily, I guess, inherit the negative effects, such as the traffic on Link, the trucks that go back and forth? I think that we as a community, and I will knock on doors and I'll make sure that we're all here at the next meeting. That way we can all discuss together as a group. I want to understand next steps. I'm also just like generally, I'm happy that I'm here tonight, but I am really discouraged at knowing that we now have brought up 2 separate topics on my street. And it doesn't really seem like we've come up with any great solutions for my community.
I mean, sometimes the answer is no.
Okay.
And as much as I want to make you happy, and I do,
Mhm.
some of what you're asking for, we just can't do.
Mhm.
You know, we can't close the bridge, right? I think, I hope you understand that. The speed limit that's there, we're not showing data that there's an issue, right? We can have a police officer sit out there, but if he's spending hours there and not writing any tickets, it's not a good use of their time.
Mhm.
Again, I'm open to hearing some things that we could do, but
Oh, how about a 4-way stop at the bridge?
so as much as I would love that too, we can't, legally, we cannot use stop signs as traffic control devices to reduce speed. We can't just put up a stop sign unless there's a reason for it, and speed is not a legitimate reason to put up a stop sign.
Sidewalks.
We could do sidewalks. They would be very, very, very expensive, and it would fall on the homeowner. I mean, that is probably going to be the most unpopular idea that we could come up with, because you'll have residents coming here saying, why are you essentially assessing me $10,000, $15,000?
Yeah, again, we've talked about it in my neighborhood on my corner. My neighbors across the street whose kids don't know how to ride a bike,
Mhm.
obviously they're about it.
Right.
I would urge you to maybe spend an afternoon, maybe from like 4 to 6, maybe outside my house. I'll come,
I
I'll bring you a
literally,
snack.
I literally live a block from where you're talking about.
You live.
Live on the corner of Southview and Snapper Dam. I'm very familiar with it, and I understand Knoll Road does get a lot of traffic at certain times of the day.
Okay. Thank you for hearing me.
Dawn Hardy, Stony Battery Road. And I know you've been hearing me for the last 6 or 7 years, and it's not getting any better. And right now, it feels like we're living on an industrial highway or an interstate highway. And I'm very interested in the data that you're collecting as far as the speeding that's going on, because it is definitely bad.
Chief, are you still there?
Yes, I am. I
Are
have the
you-
data for Stony Battery, not in front of me, but I can get in touch with Dawn.
Okay, that'd be great if
And I
you could
mean,
do
I
that.
know they're on it. I know they're,
Can you hear me?
you know, just sitting in the parking lots, closing down.
Mhm.
But those people coming in and out of those warehouses, it's ridiculous. You should come park in my driveway someday and take a look. It's beyond ridiculous. They don't stop coming out of there. Have you ever given a thought to a roundabout at Knoll?
We have not to my knowledge, no.
Something's got to slow down there, and it's got to be before there's blood on the street, because it's going to happen. You know, and the big trucks coming in and out of the industrial area on Knoll they don't stop either. And then the ones coming from the quarry on the other side, they don't stop.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you're suggesting a roundabout at Knoll and Stony Battery?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It would certainly slow them down. Except for maybe some of those guys on the bikes doing maybe 75 or 100 miles an hour. And I'm not exaggerating, and you know it.
Okay.
You know, I know one time when the chief was running speed detail out of my driveways, there was a school bus doing 60. Excuse me? Now, there weren't any children on that bus, but that's no excuse. It's a 35-mile-an-hour zone.
Don, you're a resident of West Hempfield, correct?
For 43 years.
Do you go to their meetings?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I've been through 3 chiefs over there. I've only been through 2 here. Yeah,
Okay.
and you know, it sounds like a joke, but you know, we live there and we love our property, and you know, we don't want to move,
Mhm.
and we're not going to move. We've
Let's see.
got to do something.
Let me make this, Scott,
So,
say something.
Yeah.
So I hear you, and I'm totally in agreement. I mean, this,
and I'm in agreement with these people too, because we walk and we go through that
and
neighborhood.
I'm, and not to belittle by any means what you're saying, because I mean, it's serious, but I ride bicycle all over the county, 5,000 miles a year, and it's everywhere.
Mhm.
It's
Trust
not
me.
just in our township.
Trust me,
It is
you know,
everywhere,
But
and
this is
it's,
the only place I have any
yeah,
potential to do
and
anything
that's
about
not
it.
an excuse by any means, because I'm out there putting my life at risk with people, you know, going past me, not waiting 5 more seconds
Oh,
to,
yeah,
when
I
they
feel
get
like I've
around
got
a-
my life on the line when I
Yeah.
cross the little bridge. Yeah,
So
just walking.
I hear you, and I agree with you, but I'm just, you know, I don't know what to do, because it's people. It's
Mhm.
it's people being impatient. That's a lot of the problem,
Well,
and it's hard to fix that.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're in that big of a hurry,
Yeah.
you should have left 5 minutes sooner. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
it's-
what the
it's,
answer
5
is.
or 10 seconds of patience would go a long way, but you don't get that. So anyway,
Well, don't get behind me. You'll be impatient. I'm only going the speed limit.
I would say there has been some good that's happened over the years. I mean, we did put in the sidewalks along Stony
Yeah, but
Battery.
okay, that's another whole
But
issue.
I'm just pointing out to you that there's some good things
But
that,
yeah,
that had
it's
happened.
definitely a
I
good
mean,
thing.
Don, often I feel like when you come here, you rail against us about these industrial properties that have been zoned industrial long before any development was ever there. And somehow that we're not taking care of this problem, and it gets a little frustrating sometimes to hear this over and over again.
Railed against you for anything at any time until tonight. And those warehouses are a nightmare. But I understand the whole premise behind it. And those sidewalks that are supposed to be for pedestrians, they've got electric bikes on them doing 35, 40 miles an hour. They've got those guys on their little unicycles and they sneak up behind you. You can't hear them. You don't know they're there. And then go around, just scare the crud out of you. You know, that's another whole issue. And I don't know how you stop that.
All right, well, we've heard you tonight. Don, do you have anything else?
No.
Are there any other comments tonight? Any from Zoom? Okay. Any other business for the good of the order? Hearing none, we are going to adjourn our meeting. It is 6:42. We will return tonight at 7 o'clock for the Board of Supervisors meeting. Thank you.